Hello, Instagram Live. I hope everyone is doing very well today. I'm working on a couple of things, and I thought I would come on here live. And of course, with Instagram Live, this is also gonna record. So I'll post this up onto my feed a little bit later. Since not a lot of people are going to be joining in right now. It's the middle of the day, or a little after. And so I've been kind of laid up for a little over a week. It's going almost 10 days now with a hurt back from a birth defect that I have. So I'm not back in the gym yet. This would normally be my gym time, but I'm not in the gym today. So I'm working on some other projects. And I thought I would come on here and do this live and answer some questions for anybody who might have them, but then also just leave this as a post for people to be able to watch. So I probably shouldn't ramble on too much longer because you'll want to get to what this says. So many of you have been reaching out and asking me questions about something that I've been doing recently and seeing some of my posts. And those are regarding an organization that's called Recovering from Religion. Which I am volunteering with. I am volunteering with a group called Recovering from Religion. You can go check them out at recoveringfromreligion.org. And they are a community and a support group that is there for literally anybody. It's really anybody. But obviously the gearing of it is for people who are questioning their faith and wondering about what do they do with that. Is there community? Are there other people that are questioning? Are there some answers to my questions? Are there some options for me? Are there alternatives to what I've been believing and how I feel? And so I'm supporting that group. I was raised in a Lutheran household. I was baptized when I was an infant. I was an acolyte in the church when I was 7. I think I became an acolyte at 7, which meant that I participated in my actions started every religious ceremony. I would enter, I would light the candles, I would help perform the Eucharist. Or communion, excuse me. I would help I would help with the performance of communion. I helped with the passage of the altar of the plates, passing around the plates for everybody to contribute to the church. Sometimes I would help people to their seats, or I would help people, greet them entering in and out, that kind of a thing. And then I always closed out the ceremonies as an acolyte by then extinguishing the candles and exiting, and that's when people knew and the ushers would be able to come in and start letting people out. So I was doing that at like age 7. And then around age 10 is when I went through, oh shoot, I can't believe the word just left me, but it's, you basically go through catechism. So I went through catechism when I was like 12, I think 11 or 12 is when you do catechism. Within the Lutheran Church, if I'm remembering correctly, 13 is when you are considered of the age where God will no longer allow your sins to be unforgiven. Up to the age of 13, you can sin, and God's just going to say, oh, you're just a kid. I'll let it go for now. But once you're 13, it's like, nope, now you're old enough, and if you sin, I'm going to start holding it against you. And, the clock starts ticking. So that's when I took catechism so that I could then be brought into the church. I kind of tapered away from religion for a long time. I just tapered away from it. But I still held on to a lot of the values and the ideas that the church had brought me, because I was raised in that. I was never raised in a, well, question these things, or maybe that's not, or go look around, or there could be other options. I was raised in this. There is a God, and God does these things. Of course God is real. Of course hell is real. Of course you're going to go someplace after all of this, and it's probably going to be a bad place if you don't do this stuff. And then here's this book, and this book has a bunch of things, and there's a bunch of interpretations of this book, but we've got the appropriate interpretation of this thing right here. So make sure you're with that interpretation, and then you get to go to heaven. So I kind of slowly tapered away from it. I know as I went through some of high school, the family started to go to church a little bit less and less. I remember there was a comment about, well, the church is getting too political, but I was young enough and not paying enough attention to politics to know why, one way or the other, what the politics were doing as to why we stopped going, or were going less. But we would still go at Easter and Christmas and those kind of things. So and then I got into college and wasn't going to church, left college, got out into the workplace, wasn't going to church, went back to college for a little while at one point, and actually had kind of felt like I had lost community and idea, and I didn't really believe, but I didn't know what I really believed and what I was doing. And then I was thinking maybe I will go to church and I will find this stuff because I kind of want this, but I didn't actually go through with it. Continued on with my life and kind of tapered out a bit. There was a couple of points in the late 90s, early 2000s where I was still kind of like struggling, and what do I believe, what do I not believe? Rather conservative in my ideas, still holding on to a lot of the ideas and the values that I had gotten through the religious teachings. And then I read the Bible cover to cover, just struggling to try to find something. And I'll tell you what, people that read the Bible, something else. You can always tell a person who's read the whole Bible, and I mean actually read the whole Bible. You read it, you actually read it. Because if you read the thing, it'll make you an atheist. If you're actually paying attention to it. So anyway, I'm not here to start harping on people for their particular religions. That's probably going to come a little bit later. I'm probably going to have some friends who will stop following me because they'll feel attacked. I just want you to know that this isn't a personal thing, but religion is personal because it's an identity. It's not just a belief. It is an identity. And I don't identify as religious. I had my weird little spiritual time there for a while in that kind of moment of, well, what do I believe? And really that was just a thing to try to sound cool and get laid. Being spiritual isn't a thing because there's not a spirit or a supernatural or anything like that. But I think it's a phase that you can go through to try to figure out what you're doing. So anyway, so that's why you're seeing these posts from me. I'm doing bumpers and a variety of other things for this organization, recoveringfromreligion.org. Every Monday they have a live presentation that they do. We're actually getting ready to kind of step those up a little bit and kind of improve on some of the technical aspects of those kind of things, and I'm helping to foster that along. They're looking to build out more content, which I am helping them to be able to do, as well as creating some of that content. And I don't like where this country is going. I don't like what Texas just did. I don't like Trump. Fuck Trump. And fuck the people that voted for Trump. Trump is a rapist. And he is a convicted felon. And our country is racist and bigoted enough that they were like, well, I don't really like the black woman who is completely qualified to do this. So I'm going with the felon and the rapist. The man's a rapist, and he's a felon. And I'm disgusted by our country for having given this guy enough slack where he's just wiggled out of this the whole time. The man is so guilty, and he's so awful. And it is because of evangelical religion that he has been able to push through some of the things that he has done. He has promised them the reins of this country. And because of the rise of Christian nationalism, because of the lies and the distortions that religion and evangelical Christians have created, any religious group that has joined in and helped Trump to push through and given support and given money and have allowed for the sins of him to be forgiven so that he can now ascend to the highest position in this country for a second time, I just had enough. I just had enough. And so now I'm going to say something. You can listen to me, and you can just say, well, I don't agree. And you don't have to hit the unfollow button. I'm fine with that. I'm going to ask you if you still believe in a God. And if you still believe that there are aspects or the whole of the Bible that has some type of value in humanity for you, that you question it. Question it and think about it. I'm going to try to raise really good points. And I'm going to try to have a conversation. And I'm going to not make it about people being dumb or people being bad or people being whatever, and make it about a personal attack. Though it will be that way, it will be taken that way, and that sucks. And I would have been that way too at a time. But I'm going to question God. I'm going to question the Bible. I'm going to question the Quran. I'm going to question those things, and I'm going to point the hypocrisies out. And some people are going to say that it's metaphor, but there's still a God. That's great. And I'm going to question why you believe that. I'm going to question what proof you have, because I never had proof. I was just raised in it. I was baptized as an infant. This is what I was told, and I trusted and believed my parents and the adults in my world. I trusted and believed them at a time that Santa Claus was real as a little kid, and eventually you kind of grow out of that, but people don't grow out of God, and so I'm here to question that. And I'm sure there's going to be all sorts of things. There's going to be the Pascal's wager. There's going to be the you were never a true God. You are a true believer. You were never any of those things. Well, I was. Pascal's wager is ridiculous anyway, and we'll talk more about that kind of stuff. But I was a true believer at a time in my life. Again, I was an acolyte when I was a very young kid. I went through catechism as a very young kid. My brother and sister probably don't know this. I don't think I ever told any of them, because I wouldn't have told them at the time. And then, again, I grew out of it, so then there was no reason to mention it. When I was a little kid, I used to pray extra at night. We would pray at night when we would go to bed. The three of us, the two of us, whatever. My brother and I had a shared room for a long time with bunk beds. My sister had her own room. Then we ended up kind of getting split up and having rooms and whatnot, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, you don't need to know all of that stuff. But we would pray as little kids, and I would pray to myself at night, extra, begging God in case my brother and sister didn't pray enough so that they could come to heaven if something were to happen. I was so afraid of hell, I prayed extra, asking God, just in case for them. So I'm going to be questioning a lot of that stuff. So that's why you see the posts that you see. Please feel free to push back. Please feel free to ask questions. Please feel free to check out recoveringfromreligion.org. Please feel free to engage with me in a conversation. I want to engage in a conversation, but when I see places like Texas putting Christian theology and Bibles in the classroom, we're not a Christian nation. We're not founded on Christian principles. People used the Bible for things like slavery and destroying indigenous people and eminent domain and taking over land and wiping folks out. They used the Bible for all of that stuff, and I'm sure there's going to be lots of people that are going to say, oh, those are bad interpretations, bad people. Yes, it is, because the thing is up for interpretation so often. But we are not founded on that. We are not a Christian nation. We are not a theocracy. Nothing about the Constitution says anything about God. There is nothing from the Bible that was used to write the Constitution. People didn't used to leave to go and pray. That's all a lie. It's a fucking lie. And I am fucking tired of religious hypocrites lying to us. Because they know they're lying. They know they're lying to themselves. They know they're lying to their congregations. They know it. Because ultimately, probably they know that God doesn't actually really exist. But they can feel the surge of power in controlling people. And that surge of power and that lie to be able to be in power. Even their own fucking book even tells them that they're not supposed to. They're not supposed to be rich. They're not supposed to have all of the possessions. They're not supposed to do all of this stuff. Of course, there is a whole bunch of other things. And again, that's the hypocrisy. Those are the things I'm going to talk about. And I'm going to be outright about them. You know, in some states, I'm not allowed to hold office because I'm an atheist. There are some places where that is against the law. I don't know that anybody upholds that law or actually questions it, but anyway, that is a very long story and all of that. That is why I have been posting the videos and doing these bumpers, and it's probably going to start picking up. And I'm not happy with what is going on right now. And some people will probably say, well, you know, what does it hurt? If they're, you know, people can believe this stuff. What does that hurt? You can see how it's hurting right now because people are having their rights taken away. Yeah, there's all sorts of issues that we have in this country with a variety of things, with poverty, with immigration. There's all sorts of issues. There's all sorts of issues. And probably not a lot of very easy fixes for some of this stuff. It's difficult. There's a lot of people in this world. Over 8 billion of us. That's a lot of people. And that's a lot of interests. And so there's going to always be complications. Christianity ain't it. And what we're doing right now with instilling Christianity in the schools is not American. Or maybe it is American. America seems to be the place where a lot of stuff was steamrolled to make place for people who look like me. And you're going to hear a lot about that too. Because, dudes, we need to step up. White dudes, we need to step up. We need to be better men. We need to be better friends. We need to be better fathers. Nobody owes us anything. Nobody owes us anything. We owe everyone. We owe them better lives, and that doesn't mean under our control. We owe them better futures, and that's not under our control. It shouldn't be under our control. It shouldn't be us controlling those things. So, anyway, it's probably much longer than I had intended it to be. And so I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you all for tuning in for as long as you did. I appreciate you.